I am protector of the innocent. I am the light in the darkness. I am truth. Allied to good, nightmare to you!
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Thought Space with me, Tabo Mafuane, on this beautiful, beautiful Tuesday. Obviously, the intro of today's show was a bit different. Powerful speech by Goku when he was fighting Frieza, and obviously, you know, this is one of the most beautiful monologues, if I have to put it, where Goku is telling his enemy who he is. And it was a powerful thing. I'll never forget that speech. I'll never forget it. You know, and obviously this is to, you know, remember and to really salute the creator of the Dragon Ball Z. There is no one who can deny, you know, especially people who are my age group, you know, you cannot deny the impact that Dragon Ball Z has had in your life, you know, and obviously you just want to shout out to Akira, you know, he did an amazing work, you know, to create such a beautiful storyline, and it really impacted every young person of my generation in an amazing way. You know, I remember when I was growing up, probably I was in high school, probably the early years of my high school years. And there was a year where we didn't have a television set in my house, you know, so we had to jump the fence into my neighbor's house, and his name is Tulani, and would go to the house and then to his house and would ask to watch Dragon Ball Z. And I remember one of these days where we got to the house, we knocked, he opened, he was like, yeah. I was like, yeah, we're here to watch Dragon Ball Z. And then he said, okay, cool, you can sit outside. So we were not allowed to go into the house, obviously, because we are kids, you know, you wouldn't want kids to go into it and start messing up things and so forth. But what is interesting that then he reduced the volume of the TV, you know. So I'm thinking maybe he wants to do something, he wants to do. Then 2 minutes in, and I was like, Tulani, we can't hear what, you know, we can't hear the volume. It's very low. And then Tulani says, "You said you are here to watch. You didn't say you are here to listen." So, you know, obviously, so we had to just imagine what, you know, the characters were saying, because the rest of the episode we could not hear a thing because Tulani had decided to reduce the volume. So shout out to Mr. Akira Toriyama. Um, he did his part. It's amazing. Just an idea that he had just impacted the world. You know, we cannot ignore that. We cannot ignore it. But I wanted to talk about something else pertaining Dragon Ball Z. So the entirety of this program will be focusing on this character called Goku. And I really want to talk about fatherhood. Probably 2 years ago, I posted, this was 2022, on the 26th of December. And I said, Goku might have been the strongest being in all universes, But we need to agree that he was a horrible husband and a horrible father. And that post got about 21 shares. There were people who were agreeing with me. There were people who were disagreeing with me. And I want to unpack why did I say what I said, and because I believe in this day and age, the country is going through difficulties when it comes to young people. Like, young people have lost their way. I strongly believe it's because fathers have stepped out from their role to father their children, and then they're focusing on other things. And then we're going to pull some of the examples of this great character that we all love, the savior of the universe, the protector of the innocent, Goku, Kakarot. And we want to see what lessons can we learn from what I believe were the mistakes that he has made, especially when it comes to the role of a father. We have people, we have a homeless person who's probably addicted to drugs. We know this guy, Alostro. We love him. It's unfortunate the situation that he has found himself in. As popular as he might be throughout the whole country, especially in Pretoria, but it begs the question: where is his father? Or where is a man in his life that is supposed to play the role of a father? Because life happens. Probably he's um, deceased. Probably he might be in jail. Probably he's sick. We don't know the story of his father, but I see a gap when I look at this guy's life, Alostro's life. I see a gap. I see a void of an impact of a father's role in his life. I know there are people who say, look, fathers are doing their best. Maybe we must reconcile with the fact that maybe their best is not enough. We need to do better. I'm talking about Goku. I'm talking about fathers. Because I strongly believe that Goku was a horrible father, was a horrible husband, because he focused on other things. And time again, he neglected his children, he neglected his wife. There's an episode, and I always argue and say Goku was a horrible father. In fact, Vegeta was a better father and a better husband compared to Goku. Vegeta, the guy who would say he's the villain, he find a way to live together with the humans on planet Earth, but you can still traits of being stubborn and hard-hearted. But Vegeta was a great father, was a great husband. He has his own way of displaying love and affection, fine, but he was there. Any chance that Goku would find to go away from his family, he would take it. Any chance that Goku would get to make sure that he's away from his family and he goes to some planet somewhere to be stronger, Even in times of peace, Goku was nowhere to be found. Someone would tell me that, yeah, because he died, the series where the Cell Saga, he had to sacrifice his life by, sending, I forgot that technique, what it's called, where he touches his forehead and then he goes to another planet and then it exploded, right? He had to sacrifice his life to protect and save Earth. Very noble of him. But also, there's Dragon Balls, They could have used Dragon Balls to wish him back, but he refused because he just wanted to train. He wanted to be stronger. So he didn't mind being away from his family. The only time he comes back on Earth, he comes back to get Chi-Chi pregnant. And then he goes away. And Chi-Chi will have to raise these boys by herself. Thank God for Piccolo. Because Piccolo helped raise Gohan. Piccolo was a very important figure on Gohan's life. We don't know how Gohan would have turned out if Piccolo was not in his life. So we have a lot of fathers in our generation where they would chase the bag, they would chase making money, they would chase alcohol, they would chase all these things and neglect their responsibility of being a father at home. Just like Goku. Goku wanted to be the strongest being. He wanted to see how much can he push himself to be the stronger opponent. And at the expense of his wife, his children, his family. And obviously, Dragon Ball Z is not about that, right? They want us to show us how giving to the whole world was Goku. How protective was he when it comes to protecting planet Earth? But the question is, how protective was he when it came to his own family, when it came to his own children, when it came to his own wife? How protective was he? I can't remember of an episode where Goku chose his family over his own strength and his quest to be strong. I've never seen an episode like that. But I have seen Vegeta choosing his wife and family over going to some planet to go and train and be stronger. We need to be a generation of fathers who understand the role of a father in the home. The reason why we have so many teenage pregnancies, we can blame it on everyone else. The reason why we have the challenge of drug abuse or alcohol abuse in this country is because fathers have neglected their role. We can blame drug dealers all we want. We can go and blame drug dealers, and the reason why our children are addicted to drugs or nyaope is because of foreign nationals who come with these drugs in this country. And I say, where was the father when this foreign national came with drugs and introduced it to your own child? Where was the father? It's easy to point fingers. If the father was present to instill principles, even when you see your child that he's losing his way, where was the father to make sure that the child does not lose his way. Right now, we are comfortable with seeing our children sleeping under bridges, and we blame it on drugs. Right now, it's easy to look at it's a norm now in this country. It's a norm. There's nothing bizarre about a child, an 18-year-old boy who's homeless, but his parents are still alive. His father is still alive. There's people who say, these children don't listen. For 6 years, I was a facilitator. And one of the things that I used to do was to train parents on how to build better relationships with their children. In fact, after this episode, we're just going to continue with the role of a parent and how to build a relationship with your child. Goku was a hero for the whole world. But you know who was a hero to Gohan? It was Piccolo. I don't know who was a hero to Chi-Chi. Because Chi-Chi seems like a woman who just held on. He's going again. I will hold on until he comes back. We need to be a generation that is intentional in raising our children. We need to be a generation of fathers that are intentional in fathering their children. We cannot hide behind it is hard, it's difficult. Show me anything that is easy, man, in this world. We must step up and be fathers to our children. Yes, Goku was our hero when it comes to saving the world, but Goku cannot be our hero when it comes to fathering and being a husband. I'm going to play you a clip. This is a conversation between Goku and Vegeta. Just listen to what Goku is saying and listen to what Vegeta is saying. Check this out.
You want?
I'm going back to Beerus's world to train with Whis again, and I figured you'd want to come with me.
That's tempting, but this time I'll have to pass.
But why? You're always down to train.
Would you use your brain? Did you not see my wife? She could give birth any day now. I can't go.
But what does that have to do with you? The baby comes out of her, right?
Listen to what Goku is saying, guys. Oh my goodness. This is the hero. Oh my goodness. Vegeta says, I can't go. Have you seen my wife? She can give birth at any time now. I can't go. Look, it's tempting. I really want to be stronger. I want to train. I want to be stronger. I want to get to a point where I end up beating you, Goku, because Vegeta has always been one step behind Goku. But all of that does not mean anything because his wife is about to give birth to his child. But listen to the hero of our world, the protector of the innocent. Listen to what it says. What has that got to do with you? I mean, the baby doesn't come from you. The baby comes out of her. What has that got to do with you? Does that sound like words that would come from a good father to you? Does that sound like words that would come out from a good husband? Goku has gotten used to impregnating Chi-Chi and leaves. She will see herself. He will come back when the baby is grown. Goku has never changed a nappy in his life. I doubt it. Goku has never seen his own children take the first step. I doubt it. I don't remember saying it. All he knows is to come back from wherever after training for many years, spend some time with Chi-Chi, make her pregnant, and then he goes again. Let me play this again. Let me play this again for you. So if you think I'm making it up.
You want?
I'm going back to Beerus's world to train with Whis again, and I figured you'd want to come with me.
That's tempting, but this time I'll have to pass.
But why? You're always down to train.
Would you use your brain? Did you not see my wife? She could give birth any day now. I can't go.
But what does that have to do with you? The baby comes out of her, right?
Why do I have to explain this? If I leave the planet now, then I'll never hear the end of it.
You mean she'd be mad? I didn't have to deal with that when Goten was born, because I was dead.
I have no idea how you're still married. But in any case, Kakarot...
I don't understand as well. Give it up for Chi-Chi. Man, when she said, for better or worse, till death do us part, she really meant those words. That would not happen with the generation of women in this time. You go away to train and you leave your wife while she's pregnant, about to give birth, and to you, you say, hey man, the baby does not come from me. Why do I have to be here? I've done my part. I've made you pregnant. You do your part. Give birth to the baby. I'll continue going and be stronger somewhere, in some planet somewhere. I'm waiting for someone to come here and tell me that Goku is a good model of a good father. It can be. I look at Vegeta and say, now here's a man who understands his role of being a father. Nothing comes on top of his family. His family, his wife, comes first. We need fathers like Vegeta. We need husbands like Vegeta. It's nice to go out in the world and overcome the world, to go on the quest and defeat all the challenges in the world. But what good does it give you if you neglect your own family? You make all the millions, but you don't know your own children. In fact, in some households, their own children hate them. The guy is beloved by the world, but despised by your own family. Because you have taken the quest to conquer the world to be so important at the expense of your own children, at the expense of your own family. I know Dragon Ball Z is not the real world, but we can take lessons from this. We can take the good and absolutely reject the bad. The world is a mess right now. The world is a mess. I strongly believe this. The world is in a mess because fathers have neglected their responsibilities. And then don't say, no, but I'm doing my part. If you're doing your part and then you are doing what you're supposed to do, obviously I'm not talking to you. But we cannot blame anyone else when our children go astray. We cannot blame anyone else. We cannot blame televisions. We cannot blame drugs. We cannot blame drug dealers. We can only look ourselves in the face and say we dropped the ball. Somehow we were not able to influence our children so that even when temptations come, they will remember the words of their father. They will remember the words of their parent. It's high time that we stopped pointing fingers. The government cannot raise our children. We cannot put the responsibility of raising our children to the government. The role of raising our children is fully on the hands of the parent, the father in particular. If a father does not enforce his role and stand firm in his responsibility to raise and father his children, the consequences is what we see on the streets. So we cannot be a generation that allows our children, and I say we cannot be a generation that allows our children to fall into the trap of being fathered by other people, by other entities outside. The fathering has to be intentional. And fathering doesn't mean it's going to be easy. It does not mean that we'll have all the answers. But we have to start with the understanding that nobody is going to effectively father our children except for us. We don't have piccolos who will stand in the gap when we are going out there to win against aliens and so forth and win money and do whatever we think we are called to do. We don't have piccolos now. Now the piccolos that are here, when you wanted to give the responsibility to a piccolo, the piccolo will rape your child instead. Unfortunately, this is the world that we find ourselves in. Unfortunately, I have a I have two nieces. I love those girls with all my heart. But I encourage my sister, to be mindful of the language I use around her children. Because in as much as I love them, that should not relinquish her responsibility and her husband's responsibility to raise her children, their children. Unfortunately, we live in a sick world. Unfortunately, this world is too sick to hand over your responsibility to someone else to raise your children. The responsibility to raise your children as a father is not your pastor's responsibility. Your pastor has his own children. The things that the pastor is teaching the congregation at church, it must be things that you're already teaching your children at home. I love Goku. As a superhero, as the defender of the innocent. I love Goku. But as a father, I can't go to him and ask for notes. I can't go to him and ask for advice. I'd rather go to Vegeta because he seems to get it. We need to go back in playing our role of being a father. Being a father goes beyond paying school fees for your children. Being a father goes beyond making sure there's food for them to eat. Those are also part of the responsibilities of a father. But it goes beyond that. Being a father involves being emotionally involved in your children's lives, both boy and a girl child. A son must feel the warmth of his father's hug. A young girl must feel and appreciate the warmth of her father's hug. The purity of a father's love with nothing in return. She does not pay anything. She doesn't have to prove anything when she's been loved by her father. The love of a father does not come with strings attached. You know, as young boys, we used to, when you share like a girl, when you ask a girl out and then you tell her that you love her and blah, 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 blah. And eventually she says she likes you too, or she loves you too. One of the things that we used to say to those girls when we were growing up was, prove it. If you love me, prove it. May that language be very foreign to your child's life. May your child develop the language of saying, I've never had to prove anything to my father. My father gave me love and he expected nothing in return. So he has to tell these girls, kiss me. To prove that you love me, you must kiss me. And 9 times out of 10, the girls gave us the kiss that we are looking for to prove that they indeed love us. What kind of love is that? My daughter, my son does not have to do anything to prove. My children don't have to do anything. They just have to wake up in the morning and I'm there to love them as a father. We need to be intentional. Look, I said it goes beyond, not against. It goes beyond paying school fees. There's a lot of fathers out there. Their only contribution is financial contribution to their children. Their children only know their father's money, not their father. The only thing that they know is the money of their father. The relationship that they have is a relationship with their father's money, not their father. They will miss their father's money more than they would miss their father. And I want to tell you now, when a father does not play his role, someone else, somewhere else will play the role of a father. Unfortunately, whoever is going to play that role will not be a Piccolo. Unfortunately, in this day and age, whoever is going to step in, you don't have a guarantee that is going to be a Piccolo. We can't take that risk. We can't take that risk. We have to be intentional. I'm going to read a few scriptures. I don't want to make this too long, you know. I want to read a few scriptures so that we understand the role of a father when it comes to, you know, biblical understanding. Deuteronomy 6, verse 6. These commandments that I give you today are to be on your hearts. It is the duty and the responsibility of a father to impress them in your children. It is the duty and the responsibility of a father to impress the commands, the laws, the word of God into the hearts of your children. We thank God for our pastors. We thank God for our pastors. But that should not mean that now the pastors have taken over the role of a father at home. When a pastor quotes a verse at church, my children should be able to say, oh, that's the verse that Daddy was teaching us last week. Next verse. Proverbs 13, verse 24. Whoever spares the rod hates their children, but the one who loves their children is careful to discipline them. Right now, we have allowed the government to be the one that disciplines our children by sending them to jail. It is the responsibility of a parent, a father in particular, to discipline your children. How will you discipline your children if you're not there? And by being there, I'm not only talking about being physically being there. I'm talking about emotionally, spiritually available to see where your children are lacking, to see where they are misbehaving, so you can instill the discipline in them. When I was doing these programs of training parents, I always said, being a parent, when the day you become a parent, you never go on tea break. You never rest from being a parent. You are a parent until the day you die. Because the minute you go to slumber, you would have lost your children forever. I speak to hundreds and hundreds of parents that lost their children because they've handed over their responsibility to parent, to teachers at school, to neighbors, to relatives, because they are chasing money, they are chasing professions. I know it's hard. I know it's hard. Sometimes you have to leave home and go find a job in Johannesburg. But it comes, look, we have phones now. I always tell people, like, we have phones now. Some situations are difficult that you can't be with your children, or the environment where you are working or you are staying is not safe for your children. And I always make an example. I said, you know, have you ever been in love? Been in love with a man or a woman, but unfortunately you can't stay together? People that love one another, they will make sure that they call each other and check up on each other on a daily basis. Where you have not seen the person physically for 2 months, but because you are regularly communicating with them, it feels like they are part of you. But we don't do that with our children. First Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 11, it says, "For you know that we dealt with each of you as a father deals with his own children, encouraging, comforting, and urging you to live lives worthy of God, who calls you into his kingdom." It is the job of a father to encourage, to comfort, and to urge you, to direct you by persuading you into living a life that is pleasing to God. That is the role of a father, not a neighbor. It's not even the role of a pastor. We are living with children that are discouraged, they are not comforted. Rather, they would run to sugar daddies. These children are seeking for comfort and encouragement for an elderly man, but instead they meet perverts and pedophiles who just want to sleep with your children. This is not a game. This is serious. The last one, Deuteronomy chapter 1, verse 29. It says, "Then I said to you, do not be terrified. Do not be afraid of them. The Lord your God, who is going before you, will fight for you as he did for you in Egypt before your very eyes in the wilderness. There you saw how the Lord your God carried you as a father carries his son." We need to go back to carrying our children. Nobody is going to father our children. If you don't take the responsibility to father your children, you can't expect a mother to father your children. Our mothers try, but there's always going to be that gap. It is only a father that can father his children. I hope that we take this seriously. I hope that we reflect. I hope that we decide to be better. We can't change the whole nation if you can change and impact and influence your own household. Probably you can, but how can we really celebrate that if you save the whole world, but you can't save your own family? You can't save your own children. Thank you so much for being with me. This has been the Thought Space with me, Tavmof One. Until we meet again, please think about it. Please decide you're going to make a change in your own family. You're going to father your own children. Peace.